Well, hello there and good day. Thank you for joining me. I am Frost PDP, and today we're talking about Dragon Ball Super and the future of the Dragon Ball franchise. And I know I just took you out of the headspaces that music was just starting to build up, but I wanted to get this Goku quote in because I think it's really valuable to what message Toei and Shueisha and Toriyama are trying to send, and that is that Dragon Ball is just getting started. Today we'll be talking about the future of the Dragon Ball franchise, how Shueisha and Toei can facilitate Dragon Ball's evolution into a franchise with releases of multiple regular titles, and the thinking behind why they will. Considering that Toei and Shueisha are businesses and Akira Toriyama needs to get paid somehow, let's just take a quick look at the Dragon Ball franchise data that I've come up with here. The worldwide value, according to Funimation's 2014 trailer, over $5 billion in Dragon Ball merchandise has been sold worldwide. That was around the time of Battle of the Gods and before Fighter Z or Super came out. And I don't know if it's Fighters or Fighter Z, it's kind of irrelevant. Here are some sales figures for that stuff. Fighters earned 2 million sales, which is over 119 million in revenue. Xenoverse 2 has made about $69 million in revenue. Xenoverse 1 sold 3.13 million units as of 2016, plus DLCs. So do your own math there. The anime, according to comicbook.com, sold about $34 million in the first quarter of 2017. So the approximate value of the franchise is a lot. This data combines the lifetime and quarterly sales to create an image of Dragon Ball's profitability. The point is, Dragon Ball is too profitable to surrender. I know that when the news came out that Super was ending after the Tournament of Power, a lot of us fans got really alarmed because we were like, why are they doing this? Well, we kind of now know why they're doing this, and it's kind of okay. I do want to admit that the sales figures are hard to find. Dragon Ball is not an American franchise. Recent sales numbers are not readily available, and some stuff is just hard to measure. I've read that there are 200 million people who have installed Dokkan Battle, and I've even seen ads for it on local 7-Elevens. But does that translate to revenue? I'm just not sure of that. I also figured that I would include my own citations here. Do your own research. These numbers are just meant to be a guide to how profitable Dragon Ball really is. Imagine being Scrooge McDuck and rolling around in this much cash. Why would you want to give it up? Next, I think it's valuable to look at some of the things that Shueisha and Toei are doing that give me a lot of hope for the future of the franchise. In 2016, as reported by Anime News Network, Shueisha, which again is the publisher of Shonen Jump, announced that it had created an entire department dedicated to producing Dragon Ball content. And the article goes on to say that Toriyama himself has a great deal of trust in the staff. So they're going to be producing a lot of Dragon Ball content, more than just a once-a-month manga that Super has been with Toyotaro's direction. I mean, hey, do you remember that time Yamcha got his own manga? I mean, it was really a high school student with a voluminous knowledge of Dragon Ball who possessed Yamcha and used his knowledge to alter the outcome of Z a little bit, but it was still Yamcha. And it was a great business decision. It was done by Dragon Garu Lee, who may or may not have been officially affiliated with Shueisha at the time, but it certainly got picked up by Shueisha and is now picked up by Viz. They're publishing this manga. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Older fans still have a real deep love for OG Dragon Ball and the original Z Fighters, and adults who are older have the money in the families that are watching child-friendly Super. So it's a real smart business opportunity, and with a whole department dedicated to coming up with more manga, there's a lot of potential for more releases, and that's a good thing for everybody's pocketbook, which is what everyone at the corporate level cares about, and it's a great thing for fans who want to see more Dragon Ball. Now, Toei Animation has also created a new department devoted to Dragon Ball projects. As reported by Newsweek, they're restructuring their entire company to focus an entire department's worth on Dragon Ball. This doesn't mean a new anime with weekly publications on its way. They may continue Super in movie format. They may do something like One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100, where they do like 12, 14 episode series. They may just make Dragon Ball movies that aren't even connected to Super. But for a major studio like Toei to restructure its identity around Dragon Ball, while it's still producing things like Gigigi no Kitaro in Super's old time slot once a week, shows that they're willing to invest a massive amount of cash into this project, and that means they think it's got a massive amount of returns in store. And it's natural for a franchise or a publisher to evolve to such a level. With the creation of all these departments in mind, let's take a step back and look at what some other publishers do, namely Marvel and DC. Now, I'm a Marvel guy, but DC, for example, produces Batman and Superman at the same time. They'll release a Batman and a Superman in the same month, along with others, and they intertwine these storylines more often than not. Now, Shonen Jump and Shueisha do something similar. Once a month, Dragon Ball Super comes out, and I believe One Piece and things like Robot X Laser Beam are once a week. I know Bleach used to be once a week. I liked Bleach. But Dragon Ball's world-spanning status suggests that it's time for them to branch out in a similar light. They can also have multiple publications going on while they produce their mainline stories like Super, and honestly, they're already sort of doing that with the Yamcha manga. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We're left with a question of diversification. In other words, if Dragon Ball were to diversify its production line and create multiple titles per month like Marvel and DC, how would Shueisha and Toei manage to tie this all together? You get some obvious questions here. What would be canon? Not the Yamcha manga, but other things would be. What would make for an appealing storyline? In other words, what elements do you need to take from Dragon Ball to make a storyline? Who would your target audience be? Each of these titles can have a different target audience. And which format do you use for telling these stories? Do you use manga, serialized anime, movies, something else? These are all important questions that need to be answered as these departments are developed, and I'm sure they are working on it right now. I want to take a moment to call your attention to a little thing called The Theory of Everything. It was published by Empire Magazine by Christian Tate and Owen Williams, and it's a roadmap to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have to go back to 2012 when the Avengers first came out and realize, like, wow, not only do you have a superhero movie, but you have a superhero movie about a group of superheroes with established cinematic universes dating back to Iron Man and the Hulk movie, or the second Hulk movie, whichever one that was. And you have to be impressed with this. You just take a look at this map and you go, like, oh my god, is this chaotic? And they keep adding stuff instead of subtracting stuff. I am genuinely impressed. This all leads up to the Infinity War series, which, from what I read, has a budget of $1 billion. I'm going to say that again, $1 billion. It's a 2-movie thing. It's 2 $500 million movies, and it's going to be fantastic, and at least I hope it is. The first one comes out soon, by the way, so you should go check it out, and you should definitely check out Empire Magazine for this sort of stuff. Anyway, this is only being presented because it's something like what Dragon Ball would look like if you mapped out all the possibilities for different titles and storylines. This is the sort of thing that Dragon Ball's writers are going to draw their inspiration from and say, okay, if this is how they did it, how are we going to do it? Now, I was originally going to make one video and list all the different ideas that I had, but it started to get long in the tooth, and as much fun as it is to talk about a Vegeta series and a Sun Family series, I'd rather make that a separate video. So I'm going to leave you guys here. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I'm really glad to be getting back to making Dragon Ball content now that I have the proper tools at my disposal. Please feel free to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed this video. It really does help the channel grow. It lets me know what you're watching so I can make more of it, and I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And that way you'll see part 2 as it comes your way. If you have a suggestion for a property that you think Dragon Ball should make, like some sort of storyline involving certain characters, like maybe you'd like to see Dr. Rhoda's laboratory someday, leave a comment and I'll try to get back to it when I make the second video. And as always on this channel, La Paz.